Amanda Carter, a rising star in the legal world, vanished without a trace on what should have been an ordinary morning. Bryan Fields, her fiancé, claimed innocence but stumbled over his own alibi. Daniel Royce, a disgruntled former client, left behind chilling evidence of obsession. As Detective Harris pieced together Amanda's meticulously constructed life, he discovered secrets that shattered her perfect facade and plunged an entire community into chaos. What began as a search for a missing woman soon unraveled into a labyrinth of betrayal, obsession, and the unthinkable truth that no one saw coming. Amanda Carter was the epitome of the American dream. A driven young lawyer in her early 30s, she lived in Evergreen Hills, a picturesque suburban town known for its tight-knit community and quiet streets. Amanda had worked tirelessly to build her life. She was celebrated not just for her legal acumen, but for her commitment to giving back. Her recent success in defending a local charity in a high-stakes legal battle had earned her admiration far and wide. With her fiancé, Bryan Fields, by her side, Amanda seemed to have it all: a flourishing career, a beautiful apartment, and a bright future. The morning Amanda disappeared started like any other. She was scheduled to appear in court for a critical case that could cement her reputation as one of the best in her field. When Amanda didn't show up, her colleagues initially thought she might have been caught in traffic or dealing with a last-minute emergency. After all, she was known for her punctuality and professionalism. But as the hours ticked by and Amanda remained unreachable, concern began to grow. Calls to her phone went straight to voicemail, and texts remained unanswered. By midday, her best friend Megan decided to check on her. Megan had known Amanda since college and was often the first person Amanda turned to in times of trouble. When Megan arrived at Amanda's apartment, she noticed Amanda's car parked neatly in its usual spot in the driveway. That was the first sign something was wrong. Amanda was always meticulous, and if she had left on her own, she would have taken her car. Megan knocked on the door, called out her friend's name, and even peeked through the windows, but there was no response. Everything inside looked just as Amanda liked it: clean, orderly, and untouched. Yet, there was no sign of Amanda herself. By evening, panic had set in. Megan contacted the police, who arrived to assess the situation. At first glance, nothing seemed out of place. The front door was locked, and there were no signs of forced entry. Inside, Amanda's home was eerily perfect. Her bed was made, her dishes were clean, and her favorite coffee mug sat on the kitchen counter as if she had just finished her morning routine. The only clues were her phone, wallet, and keys, left conspicuously on the counter. It was as if Amanda had simply stepped out for a moment and vanished. The initial investigation yielded little. Neighbors hadn't seen or heard anything unusual, and Amanda's phone provided no immediate answers. Detective Harris, a seasoned investigator with a reputation for solving difficult cases, was assigned to lead the effort. Despite his experience, he admitted that the circumstances of Amanda's disappearance were perplexing. How could someone with such a structured life, a predictable routine, and no apparent enemies simply vanish without a trace? As news of her disappearance spread, Evergreen Hills was plunged into shock and fear. Amanda's story was just beginning, but the community already sensed that the ending would be far from ordinary. Detective Harris began his investigation by diving into Amanda Carter's seemingly perfect life. On the surface, she was a model citizen, admired and respected by nearly everyone who knew her. But as Harris and his team dug deeper, cracks began to emerge in the polished image. Amanda's financial records revealed a series of unusual transactions in the months leading up to her disappearance. She had been withdrawing large amounts of cash, often at irregular intervals, with no clear explanation of where the money had gone. Friends and family had no knowledge of any debts or significant expenses, leaving the withdrawals a troubling mystery. Bryan Fields, Amanda's fiancé, was one of the first people Harris interviewed. Bryan appeared distraught, repeatedly insisting he had no idea what could have happened to Amanda. He mentioned that their relationship had been strained in recent weeks, but claimed it was nothing serious, just the stress of wedding planning and Amanda's demanding career. However, Bryan's alibi raised immediate suspicion. He stated that he had spent the day hiking alone in a nearby state park, a claim that was difficult to verify. Adding to the unease, Bryan's cell phone records contradicted his statement, placing him miles away from the park at the time he claimed to be there. As Harris pressed further, Megan, Amanda's best friend, provided another startling piece of information. A few months before her disappearance, Amanda had confided in Megan about receiving a series of anonymous, threatening text messages. The messages accused Amanda of ruining lives and hinted at retribution. Amanda had brushed them off, convinced they were the work of an unhappy client or an online troll. Megan, however, now believed these threats were significant, a possible clue to Amanda's sudden disappearance. Screenshots of the texts were handed over to the police, who traced the numbers back to disposable phones, making it nearly impossible to identify the sender. The investigation took a darker turn when Harris uncovered discrepancies in Amanda's professional life. Several clients, mostly from her pro bono work, had expressed dissatisfaction with her handling of their cases. While Amanda had a reputation for championing underdogs, her relentless work ethic sometimes led to contentious outcomes. One client in particular, Daniel Royce, stood out. Amanda had represented him in a bitter custody battle that ended with him losing visitation rights to his children. Records showed that Daniel had sent Amanda a series of emails, alternating between thanking her for her efforts and blaming her for his personal failures. The deeper Harris looked, the more questions arose. Was Amanda the target of someone who felt wronged by her? Or was there a more personal motive lurking in the shadows? Even Bryan, with his inconsistent alibi, couldn't be ruled out. As these pieces of Amanda's life began to surface, her disappearance no longer seemed random. Instead, it appeared to be the culmination of tensions and secrets that had been building for months. With every new detail, the case grew more complex, and the hope of finding Amanda safe began to waver. A week after Amanda Carter's disappearance, the investigation took a dramatic turn when a jogger stumbled upon a discarded purse near a desolate creek 30 miles from Evergreen Hills. The purse, weathered and partially hidden beneath some brush, contained Amanda's identification, credit cards, and a few personal items. It was the first tangible lead in a case that had, until then, been a series of dead ends. Forensic teams swarmed the area, scouring every inch for evidence. Nearby, they discovered a single strip of duct tape with strands of hair embedded in it. Initial tests confirmed the hair was a match to Amanda. The discovery reignited media interest and public attention. As news of the purse and duct tape spread, tips began pouring into the police hotline. Most led nowhere, but one stood out. A neighbor of Amanda and Bryan reported seeing Bryan acting suspiciously the night Amanda disappeared. According to the witness, Bryan had been loading a large duffel bag into the trunk of his car under the cover of darkness. While the neighbor couldn't see what was inside the bag, the timing and Bryan's behavior were enough to raise alarm bells. Armed with this information, Detective Harris obtained a warrant to search Bryan's home. What they found only deepened the mystery. In Bryan's garage, investigators discovered a roll of duct tape that matched the piece found near the creek. Even more damning was the discovery of Amanda's engagement ring tucked away in a drawer. When questioned, Bryan claimed he had removed the ring after Amanda left it behind during an argument. He denied any involvement in her disappearance and insisted he had no idea how the duct tape could be linked to him. Still, the evidence was mounting, and public suspicion of Bryan grew. Just as it seemed the case was closing in on Bryan, a new twist emerged. Surveillance footage from a gas station 2 hours away showed a woman closely resembling Amanda entering a car with an unidentified man. The timestamp on the footage placed the event the day after Amanda disappeared. Though the image was blurry, the woman's mannerisms and clothing matched Amanda's. The car's license plate was partially visible, leading investigators to identify the vehicle as belonging to Daniel Royce, the disgruntled former client at Royce. Amanda had represented in a contentious custody battle. Detective Harris shifted his focus to Daniel. Interviews with his neighbors painted a picture of a man whose life had unraveled after losing custody of his children. He lived alone in a dilapidated house on the outskirts of town, rarely interacting with anyone. When officers arrived to question him, Daniel was nowhere to be found. A search of his home revealed disturbing evidence, including a journal filled with angry rants about Amanda and crude drawings that seemed to depict violent scenarios involving her. Hidden in a crawl space beneath his home, police discovered the duffel bag described by Bryan's neighbor. Inside were items belonging to Amanda, including a scarf and a burner phone. Yet, despite the mounting evidence, Daniel's whereabouts and Amanda's remained a mystery. As the search for Amanda Carter intensified, Daniel Royce became the prime suspect. His connection to Amanda, coupled with the disturbing items found in his home, painted him as a deeply troubled individual. Detectives began piecing together his history, uncovering a life marked by instability and resentment. Daniel had lost custody of his 2 children after a bitter legal battle, a case Amanda had represented pro bono. Though Amanda had fought passionately on his behalf, the judge ruled against him, citing his erratic behavior and history of substance abuse. Emails recovered during the investigation showed Daniel's conflicting feelings about Amanda, expressing gratitude for her efforts in one message and accusing her of betrayal in another. A manhunt for Daniel was launched, with authorities focusing on areas he was known to frequent. Despite their efforts, Daniel seemed to have vanished. His absence fueled theories about his involvement in Amanda's disappearance. Meanwhile, forensic teams analyzed the items recovered from his home, including the duffel bag, burner phone, and Amanda's scarf. The phone yielded cryptic text exchanges that suggested Daniel had been monitoring Amanda for weeks. The messages revealed an obsessive fixation on her, but they stopped abruptly the day she vanished. With Daniel still on the run, another lead emerged. A remote cabin in the woods, owned by Daniel's estranged uncle, became a focus of the search. When police arrived, they found the cabin empty, but uncovered chilling evidence. Inside was a makeshift living area, complete with food supplies, survival gear, and what appeared to be plans sketched out on scraps of paper. One sketch depicted Amanda's apartment building, with notes about entrances and exits. Another showed the area around the creek where her purse had been found. The evidence suggested Daniel had been planning something for months, but there was no definitive proof of what had happened to Amanda. The case took another shocking turn when a blood-stained piece of fabric was discovered in an abandoned factory on the outskirts of town. DNA tests confirmed the blood matched Amanda's, but there was no sign of a body. The factory, once used for manufacturing equipment, had been abandoned for years. Investigators found signs of a struggle: overturned furniture, broken glass, and traces of blood leading to a back entrance. It appeared someone had been held there, but the trail ended abruptly. Public interest in the case reached a fever pitch, with theories ranging from abduction to foul play. Some believed Daniel had killed Amanda in a fit of rage, while others speculated she might still be alive, held captive somewhere. Detective Harris, however, remained cautious. The evidence, while damning, lacked the clarity needed to bring the case to a definitive conclusion. In the midst of this chaos, an anonymous tip came in. The caller claimed to have seen Daniel boarding a bus headed out of state. Surveillance footage from the bus station confirmed the sighting, showing a disheveled man matching Daniel's description purchasing a ticket. The lead sent detectives racing to track him down, but by the time they reached the bus's destination, Daniel had disappeared once again. The relentless pursuit continued, leaving more questions than answers, and the haunting possibility that Amanda's fate might remain a mystery. Months passed since Amanda Carter's disappearance, and the case showed no signs of resolution. Leads dried up, and public interest, though still strong, began to wane. Detective Harris and his team persisted, determined to find closure. The evidence against Daniel Royce was compelling, but without his capture or Amanda's body, the investigation remained frustratingly incomplete. The discovery of blood matching Amanda's DNA in the abandoned factory had suggested the worst, but no one could explain the cryptic details that hinted Amanda might still be alive. As hope faded, an unexpected breakthrough changed everything. One morning, an envelope arrived at the Evergreen Hills police station. It contained no return address and was postmarked from a small town hundreds of miles away. Inside was a map, crudely drawn, with a red X marking a remote field. Accompanying the map was a single note written in shaky handwriting. "She's still waiting." The note sent shockwaves through the department. Handwriting analysis confirmed it matched Amanda's own writing, sparking a mix of hope and disbelief. Could Amanda still be alive, or was this an elaborate ruse by her captor? Detective Harris led a team to the location marked on the map. The field was barren and surrounded by dense woods with no signs of human activity. After hours of searching, they stumbled upon a shallow grave. Hearts sank as they prepared to uncover a body. But what they found shocked them. The grave was empty, save for a single sheet of paper. Written on it in Amanda's handwriting were the words, "I'm not done yet." It was a cryptic message that offered no answers, only deepened the mystery. The discovery threw the investigation into chaos. Forensic analysis of the paper confirmed it was recent, meaning Amanda, or someone who wanted it to appear as though it were Amanda, had left it there intentionally. The media seized upon the bizarre development, and the nation became enthralled once again. Was Amanda alive and playing a twisted game, or had her captor orchestrated this to torment those searching for her? As speculation grew, so did the pressure on Detective Harris to solve the case. The truth finally unraveled in a way no one expected. Following the trail left by the mysterious note, detectives discovered financial transactions tied to Amanda's secret bank account. Further digging revealed that she had been withdrawing money from ATMs in various small towns under an assumed identity. Surveillance footage from one of these locations revealed the undeniable truth. Amanda was alive and had been orchestrating her disappearance all along. Confronted with the evidence, Amanda was found living under a new name in a quiet coastal town far from Evergreen Hills. When questioned, she admitted to planning her vanishing act for months. Overwhelmed by financial pressures, the breakdown of her engagement, and a desire to escape her life, Amanda had staged everything. She planted evidence to implicate Bryan and Daniel, knowing their past connections to her would mislead investigators. The revelation sent shockwaves through everyone who had cared about Amanda. Bryan and Daniel, both wrongfully accused, were left to rebuild their lives after months of public scrutiny. Megan, Amanda's best friend, felt a deep sense of betrayal. The nation, which had mourned Amanda and rallied behind her story, was left grappling with the consequences of her actions. Amanda's story became a cautionary tale about desperation, deceit, and the lengths people might go to rewrite their lives. For those who loved her, Amanda Carter might have been found, but the person they knew was gone forever.